Hello and welcome to Two-Way Radio Roundtable. I am your presenter and host, Patience Blay, and tonight I also have with me co-hosting Mr. Tommy, all the way from King Johnson's TV, and we're also going to have with us one of our correspondents from Liberia, Mr. Tayi Garnett. And we have with us in studio today two presidential aspirants for the presidency in Liberia 2023. So tonight we're going to be hearing from them all that we need to know as it concerns the betterment of Liberia or to make Liberia better, whatever way you want to put it. So I'm glad that you are with us. I want you to stay tuned, do us a favor, share the broadcast, and make all the comments, ask all your questions at the appropriate time. We'll be able to um, um, attend to them. So we want to say welcome again to Two Radio Roundtable. And to my guests, I want to say welcome, Mr. Kofa. Welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. I'm always happy to be engaged and involved with anything in regards to Liberia. I want to say hello to you, to all the other guests on the show. Hello to every Liberian hearing the sound of my voice. Good morning, good afternoon, whichever part of the world you are. We are always happy to talk about Liberia, and I'm excited to be here. And I look forward to a very vibrant and interactive dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Alex, we want to say welcome.
Thank you very much. And yes, happy to see you guys. Happy holidays. And I look forward to having a wonderful discussion with Mr. Kofa, a very brilliant man. And I think the kind of leaders that we need for Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. My co-host, Tommy, welcome.
Well, thank you once again for the opportunity. It's a pleasure being on this platform. I look forward to having a very interesting conversation today.
Thank you so much. We will be also receiving Mr. Tayyubi Garnett if his internet allows him. Nevertheless, we proceed with our discussion today. Uh, since we have these wonderful gentlemen here, we just want to, the first question I want to ask, as we proceed, how would Liberia look like under the regime? How would Liberia look? And I want to start with Alex before we go to bed. If you were to be
Well, so
president,
I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited to be part of this process. For the first time in Liberian history, you're going to have people with ideas, people that can move the country forward. Under my administration, it will be more about the future and not the past. Young people will have to serve. As we all know, the old politicians have let us down. We are the seventh poorest nation in the world. And it's time to bring fresh minds to the fresh ideas. So I will be bring a lot of young people. We have a lot of programs to help their businesses. It's going to be an exciting time in Liberia. There's going to be new hope, revival, and we've done the work, and we know it's possible to make Liberia the Switzerland of West Africa in 5 years.
thank you. Ben, the same question.
Yeah, I would like to say thank you for that. One of the things I like to use as an example in Ghana, Rollins had, I think, about 9 men, and they transformed Ghana. Let me tell you why. They did it literally by enforcing laws. Under my administration in Liberia, my goal would be to enforce the law to the letter. Because what happened is, Liberia, we have all the best laws you can imagine. Every law on the book, especially some laws that are in America that makes America work and makes America great. We have almost similar laws in Liberia. But the lack of the political will to enforce the laws has derailed Liberia totally. I will give you two examples before I stop. Right now, as we speak, the agriculture minister is indicted by the LACC. She's indicted. The LACC said she and her top 5 officials, they are corrupt. I'm not in the LACC, that the LACC did an investigation. Nothing is happening. As I speak also, the boss of the National Election Commissioner, she's indicted, but she's still serving. So once you cannot enforce your laws, nothing else is possible. Nothing else is possible. So for Liberia to move forward, for Liberia to function as a normal country, people, Liberians, and those residing within the confines of our borders, they must be held accountable. Once we enforce our law, every other thing will fall in place. Thank you.
Current day Liberia, we can see from all walks of life in Liberia. You can see the hardship, you can see poverty, and it just tells us that we are facing a serious financial crisis in Liberia. What do you think is the cause, and how can how can you fix that? How can you fix that kind of economy? I want to start with him.
I mean, with me, right?
Was that
Yeah,
a
you,
question for me or?
Ben.
Yes. All right. The first thing I want to say is, you know, sometimes when we look at issues, we do what we call comparative analysis. Before I go on with that, let me just give you a small example. Liberia is not poor. Liberia for a long time has been mismanaged, totally mismanaged. Let me give you one aspect. I know there will be some people who will say, oh, you cannot compare Liberia with America, but let me just give this simple analysis. In Rhode Island, they have 1 million individuals residing in that state. 1 million. Budget of Rhode Island is 13 billion. In Liberia, we have 5.1 million people. Budget right now, as I speak, is $800 million plus. Let me tell you what that tells me. It tells me that the leadership lack vision, they lack innovation. If you Google Liberia right now, you just type the name Liberia, they will say a West African state with tremendous untapped natural resources. I'll give you one example before I go on. Norway. Norway was a powerful state years ago before they found oil. But Norway was powerful economically based on their fishing industry, just their resources in the sea and on their coast. Liberia, we have a coastline from Cape Mount to Maryland. We don't have a competent fishing industry. This speaks to what you call a lack of vision of the leadership. But let me come down to what you call the economy. You know, whenever someone tells me about the Liberian economy, I kind of laugh because the first thing you need when you have a house, the first place you start is your foundation. An economy has some key components. And in Liberia, those components, they are totally absent. But I see people telling me about, oh, the Liberian economy. And the question I usually ask, I said, well, where is the Liberian economy? Somebody show me, show me. I want to see it. What we have in Liberia, according to me, from what I see, in Liberia, we have a crude system of exchange that is managed by criminals. Let me give you something. I mean, your economy must have a goal. It must have a goal for the resident of your geographic location. The first goal should be what we call economic freedom. The next one should be full employment, and the third one should be what they call price stability. Now, I will move one step ahead. Your economy too has 3 important components, and one of the most important one is absent in Liberia. You have what they call the extraction of raw materials. That's one of the major one. The next one is called your service industry. And the most important one that is absent in Liberia is your manufacturing sector. Now, all of us here, who can tell me of anything they know, any sufficient product that is manufactured in Liberia. Last year, we imported over, I think, $1.6 billion. We imported $1.6 billion and we exported $500 million plus. Look at what what they call balance of trade. That means we are losing money because what we do is we change Liberian dollars to American dollars before we can even import. And we import over $1.5 billion. So we do not have an economy. Don't let anybody tell you Liberia we do not have an economy. We have a crude system of exchange. Let me tell you what I will do regarding the Liberian economy. I will have to put in the fundamentals. I will have to build what I call the frameworks. It's just like my house. Before this house was built, the foundation was set in place before the building was even put on top of it. The first thing you need to do when you want to build what you call a competent economy, number one, you have to have what you call an enforceable address system. That is, every house in that geographic region should be accounted for, even vacant land. Let me tell you why that is important. At the end of every year, government gets what you call real estate taxes. So if we can account for every house within that geographic space, that's money in the government access every year. Number two, the individual, you and myself, right now, every one of us on this show, maybe except for the guy who's in Liberia, we have something called a social security number. I cannot tax you if I don't know you. Everybody needs to be what they call uniquely identified. That's how when we get pulled over here by the cops, whether we are in another state, we go home after a few days, that fine is in our mailbox. It's in our mailbox, and you have the obligation to pay that fine or go to court. So everybody should be uniquely identified. The next thing you do, your leaders must have vision. They should be innovative. And that is totally lacking in Liberia. I will tell you this. Let me tell you one of the things that I look at Liberia and I want to cry. Every year, budgets of Liberia, there's a part of it where you have revenues that we generate. And let me tell us, maybe to those who don't know, every national budget, the most important revenue stream should come from what you call taxes on income. That should be the most important and the highest amount. That simply means in your region where you are, where you are leading, the people are working. It should be taxes on income. In Liberia, government report shortage in that amount, yet from early time up to now, it's always been low. That means the government, the leaders, they are not creating the enabling environment in which their citizens are thriving. So there's scant job. The people are not working in Liberia. We have almost 95% unemployment. So, when you talk about the Liberian economy, it's like a combination of factors. But to actually address that problem, you have to go to the fundamentals. Because what is happening now, people are just adding on top of something that is broken. It's that we are adding band-aid where we need surgery. So it will not work. It will never work. Right now, as we speak, the economy of Liberia, George Weah says something that Liberians will not be a spectator in their economy. Now Liberians are not even on the stadium. We're outside. We're outside. So what you literally have to put in place the framework upon which the economy will be based. Then we can talk about growing a Liberian economy. We don't have an economy right now. That's my answer to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I'll go to Ta so he can ask his question.
Yeah, let me say good afternoon, good evening, good morning. It's almost 9:40 in Liberia, and I like what BKF said, as I called him, Jesse. I called him BKF, and the fact that I'm in Liberia and my background is a little bit dark because we just have power outage, and so I have to use a means of getting a light. But thanks so kindly for your expressed interest in setting your covetous eyes on the seat of Liberia's presidency. But I'm so much more concerned. You've said a lot. Agreeably, I will consent to some of those issues you raised. They are issues that have been for long overdue when it comes to solving. But what have been your own workings in Liberia when it comes to the body politics and human resource capacity development? What have been your own workings?
Uh, there's one thing I like these kind of things. When you come to Liberian shows. I would say this, my good friend. Sometimes, I'm not saying you, Liberians mistake individual, like humanitarian act for concrete and planned policies. I will tell you this. I personally, I know this might sound a little bit harsh. I don't have to do anything personal for individuals in Liberia. My focus should be the establishment of frameworks, of systems, of policies that will help Liberians long after I'm dead. So it is not about me. It's not about me. It's not about you. Where we live right now in America, there are things that we take advantage of right now that were put in place by people who were alive maybe 40, 50 years ago. So when you aspire to leadership, it should not be your personal thing, like, what have you done? Then what can you do? No, it should be how achievable are your ideas? How practical are they? Because it is not about you and me on this show. It is about a nation called Liberia. And if we put in competent frameworks, future Liberian will benefit from it. One example I usually use, in my town, when I walk downtown, there's statues here, monuments. Those people are remembered for what they did in terms of advancing their nation, advancing the cause. They are not remembered for what they did personally to individuals. So to answer you in short, I am not concerned about what I have done personally. I am concerned about what I plan to do in terms of the establishment of competent system that will help Liberians today and Liberians of the future. Thank you.
Yes, agreed. I have to rephrase this question. Even if you intend to do same in the future, my concern is what mechanisms are you putting in place? Have you had symposiums in Liberia? Have you made Liberian young people to get together, share your ideas? What have you been doing? Because no matter what happens, those ideas have to be sold and they have to be bought by vast majority of Liberians. What have been your own workings?
Yes, thank you. The first thing I've organized a few young people because I believe in the young people. They will gain from whatsoever we do today. I've organized young people in Liberia, and by the end of this month, my full-blown activities will start in Liberia. But I want to tell you this: I respect the law. NEC has a detail in terms of when we can officially start campaigning, registration, everything. But I have organized young people, and I've talked to them, and I'll tell you this. When I come to Liberia early next month, there is a program plan in terms of there's not even one, but there's a lot of them planned in terms of community engagement as well as national engagement. So we have all those things in place. But what I'm trying to tell you is that young people on the ground, they have listened to me I've been on like many shows. We have talked to many individuals in Liberia, and we have a program afoot in terms of early next month to hit the ground in Liberia and get the program running. So that's
all of these hasty plans. Is it because you have now decided to become a president? Is that why you are fast forwarding these plans?
No, I would say no. When you say hasty, I think it will be a wrong.
Well, how long have you been working with Liberians? That's my concern. How long?
Yeah, hold on. When you say hasty, I think what you have to rephrase that, because I have been doing this thing for over 2 years. I declared my intention over 2 years ago. And you see, the thing is, when you do that, you have to engage individuals. Huh?
Quite a short time, though. Politically.
No, 2 years is a long time. 2 years is a hell of a long time, my young man.
So you just talked on Liberia 2 years ago?
2 years is no. What I'm saying, I have been running. I declared my intention to run for the presidency 2 years ago.
Okay, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool. We will move from this question to my co-host, Tommy. You want to ask Mr. Jones and pose some questions?
Okay.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity given. It's uh, it's a great thing. Listening to Honorable Kofa is actually a pleasure. Now, my question goes to Honorable Kofa. Uh, there are a series of issues currently in Liberia, wherein we fought 14 years of civil war, and now we see that there's a situation wherein there are a lot of people who participated in the war, who helped to destroy our country. They are currently the ones serving in the biggest positions in Liberia, the House of Senate, representatives, and you name them. And then based on that, there have been a lot of disagreement in terms of war and economic establishment. I want to know, uh, what's your opinion on the establishment of war and economic court in Liberia?
Okay, the first thing I want to say is thank you for that, because that that issue about war crime code, or the TRC, it hurts me a lot. Let me tell you why. Liberians and friends of Liberia, they invested a lot in terms of monies and other resources to set up the TRC. Now I'll tell you this: the bill for the TRC was approved on June 10th, 2005. But listen, after tremendous amount of work, I mean, both in and outside of Liberia, the TRC issued a detailed report. Detailed report. And let me tell you that there was 6 key groups in terms of what the TRC recommended. Number one, accountability, criminal prosecution. Number two, the National Army Palava Hut. Number three, amnesty. Number four, person not recommended for prosecution. Number five, reparation. And number six, additional recommendation. But let me tell you this: the TRC is a done deal. They've done their work. They have submitted a report, and they even recommended people for prosecution under Liberian law. The only thing the government of Liberia needs to do is to literally issue summons for those people who were recommended for prosecution to go to court. It is a shame. It is a tragedy that over 250,000 people died, including my own brother, and nobody has been held accountable. And what is tragic in this whole situation is that some of the perpetrators, they are beneficiaries. So this is what I would do. From day one, that is part of my 100 days plan. You go to my website. From day one, the TRC report will be implemented in its fullest extent. There are recommendations. There are people who are listed for prosecution. There are some who are listed for ban in terms of holding public offices. Macintosh is one of them. But what I'm saying is, to a large extent, Ellen and George Weah, they have failed to implement the TRC recommendations. I don't know for what reasons, but from day one, after my inauguration, it will be fully implemented to the letter of the law, because those who engage in vicious act, they must have some form of accountability, because the victims, they have families and they need closure. They need closure. So I will implement the TRC report from day one.
Okay, can I come in with my second question as we move forward?
Go ahead.
Okay. Honorable Ben, thank you. I listened to you. You spoke well. Thank you so much. Now, my next question has to do with this. With all of the beautiful things said by you,
Yeah.
I mean, I want to know, is it compulsory that you become president of Liberia? Why can't you work with the government side by side in order to ensure those things are done? Why do you want to be president?
You see, just like you and just like everyone else on this show, people have aspirations. People have hope. You see, leaders are not born, they are made. From the time I was a young man, I've always been leading people, even up to my adult life. And when it comes, especially so to the nation of Liberia, we have something you call the imperial presidency. That is, he who sits in the executive mansion literally control almost everything. I want to come in and make the necessary changes. Right now, as we speak, Liberia runs on 3 branches. But guess what happened? Anything George Weah wants, George Weah gets. Right now, as we speak, opposition dominate the legislature. George Weah can send any budget that the budget is passed. I want to say no. We should have 3 separate but equal branches that will carry out their functions so that there can be checks and balances. And I cannot do that outside. I have advocated for that outside enough, and some of the people who have advocated or who are in leadership today, they didn't listen. So what we will say, okay, since they didn't listen to us, we will take our case to the Liberian people, giving them our platform, our programs, our visions for Liberia. And maybe when the Liberian people buy our vision, as we know they will do, then they can trust us with leadership, and we will make sure that we put those visions and dreams in place. But I will tell you, my brother, last thing I want to close with. You see, Liberia now, we need visionary leaders. You are young, I can see. Look at Liberia today. Almost 85% of the young people, maybe 90%, they have no jobs. And my brother, that hurts me because I'm one of them. I'm from West Point. I'm one of them. Our people have no hope for tomorrow. While the leaders, now George Weah is on an almost 8-week trip. 8 weeks. Meanwhile, the ordinary young man, 18 years, 19 years old man, he doesn't have access to opportunity to a job. That's what I want to change. Thank you.
Honorable Ben, we have heard this thing from a lot of people. What's the guarantee? How can we trust those things that you are saying? I mean, sorry, that was my closing. I said we have heard this thing from a lot of politicians. Even President Weah spoke of those same things. He came and said youth empowerment, all these beautiful things. He said it. Now we are saying something contrary. Now, what's the guarantee? How can we believe those things you are saying is something that you can implement?
Well, now I want to say this. If you know the history of the CDC, I was one of the people who were on the National Executive Committee of the CDC. But when the day of George Weah inauguration, we had a meeting after that inauguration, and some of the decisions that were made, they were contrary to the original plans that we laid. That's when I said, no, I cannot be part of this because this is not what we signed up for. That shows that I have integrity, I have purpose, and I know what needs to be done. I will tell you this, my brother, if I had kept quiet, I would have been one of the officials in this administration. If you go to my page, I criticize this government regularly because I will tell you this, we have a wonderful, magnificent blueprint for Liberia. But for some reasons, some of the principal actors have deviated. And I said, no, this is not about you, it's not about me. It's about the Liberian people and the Liberia that we leave for our children and their children to inherit. So I will tell you this, if I was any one of those guys, I would be mute and I will get a job. And that's not my focus. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. We want to come to Mr. Jones. I know you've been having glitches there, but we want to say welcome back on the platform.
Thank you.
The most recent news in Liberia is all about the national population and household census in Liberia. We just want to hear your opinion on that.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And again, it's a pleasure. If you indulge me, I would like to go through what my initial policy wouldn't take 2 minutes, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Because most times people want solutions, and I'm here to bring solutions to the Liberian people. So what I intend to do as president in 2023 is I intend to reduce the government officials' pay and compensation. I intend to send a budget to the legislator that no one in government, including the president, would make more than $3,000. Can I repeat? No one would make more than $3,000 in pay and compensation. That includes the president, the ministers, the lawmakers, and any other government official. I also intend to provide a stimulus to the Liberian people of between $50 and $100 to every student, elderly, the unemployed, and the poor. I intend to establish 30 multinational Liberian corporations funded by the Central Bank of Liberia. That's what I intend to do my first year. And I also intend to revisit the Constitution, setting up a commission to look at the Constitution, to modernize it, and to bring it up to date with our social, political, and economic realities. I'm also going to be passing, within my second or third year, a complete national low-cost healthcare and free education program, meaning everyone in Liberia will be able to go to school for free up to university level. This will be done through a combination of grants and loans that the government is going to provide. By my fourth year, I intend to decentralize the entire country, meaning all the budget, the national budget, after taking out national security and foreign relations, the budget will be dispersed to the counties and the districts. Every district in Liberia will be able to utilize their budget allocation for their own self-development. And my fifth year, I intend to grow the Liberian 30 corporations to become competitive in West Africa, Africa, and the world. So having said that, this is why I'm in this race. I was not able to hear any of these things from any of the politicians. I've been looking and searching the policies to see if they have a viable, sensible economic program. And unfortunately, none of them do. So that's why I stepped into this race, to give Liberians hope, to make Liberia a country that can live up to its promise. We are the oldest African country. We should be leading in West Africa in terms of economic development, in terms of education, in terms of business. Now, the question you asked me about the census, I've never supported George Weah, I've never supported Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, because I thought they were inadequate. They did not present a plan to the Liberian people, as do all of the current politicians, whether it's Gonglo, whether it's Cummings, they do not have a plan. The idea of selecting a president is because you evaluate what they're going to do. Don't vote for a person because you think you like them, or they're from your tribe, or you think they're progressive. You vote for somebody based on what they say they were going to do. This is what I'm saying I'm going to do in the first year. I'm going to cut the president's pay. And let me just give you an example towards that effect, okay? In Africa today, the president of Guinea-Bissau makes $6,300 a year. The president of Djibouti makes $10,000. The president of Senegal makes $15,200, okay, a year. Now let's go back to the economy. So let's look at Senegal. Senegal has a $28 billion economy, and the president makes $15,000 a year. Liberia has a $3 billion economy, and the president makes $90,000 a year. Makes no sense. The only way we can move Liberia into economic development prosperity is we have to start taking the money that these government officials, most of which are political partisans, whether it's from the Unity Party or the Liberty Party or the ANC Party, that are pocketing. So much so that the international community is sanctioning some of them in the case of Vani Shema. We need to take the money from the government official and we need to give it to the people. We need to give it to the businesses. We need to provide programs that people can leave from here and go into the counties and start hotels and start manufacturing. That's what the Western world do. That's what every civilized country are doing. But we take over $60 million of the budget and we give it to people that direct alone, that has no ideas, that hasn't provided one job in the private sector. So while I'm in this race for, I'm not here to play nice. I'm not here, to get along. People say, oh, don't criticize. Oh, just be alone. No, I'm here to criticize the wrong in society. I'm here to stand up to the people that have made our country the worst country on God's green planet. And I'm here to confront them. They are inequipped and they are useless. That includes boycott, and useless is not an insult. It's an adjective. That means that you're not capable of doing what you're supposed to do. That includes Cummings, super useless, has not presented one plan to the Liberian people, but yet he wants to be president. Has not opened one business in Liberia to give Liberian people jobs. So when we come to the census, it's just a combination of the failed political opposition and the government. You're not going to get an effective census. The political, you look in the House of Representatives, I listened to the former vice president's speech. It's a bundle of garbage. He has not one solution for the Liberian people. He served in Liberian government for 12 years, praising Ellen Johnson's relief, telling us how wonderful this woman was. Then because today he wants to be president, here's a man that has not worked in the last 5 years. He has not opened one business in Liberia. He has not committed to one program in Liberia. But because he's tribal, because local people won't vote for him and people won't vote for Gongolo, and that's why Liberia is where it is today. We should be voting on ideas. You have over 3 million young people in Liberia with no job. They don't even earn $60 a month. Young women today have to go and sleep with men, okay, to eat. And we're paying government representatives $15,000 a month. One of my dead body, any government ministers in Liberia in my administration will make more than $3,000, and that includes the president. If the Liberian people don't want to vote for me, they are fine.
Thank you.
But this is my message, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah, I want to pose the same question to Ben. Your opinion on the census, national census.
Yeah, just before I go along, I just want to add something to what Mr. Jones said. It is unfortunate, to everybody hearing the sound of my voice, it is very unfortunate. Look at the legislature. Look at my people. Let's look at this legislature. It is dominated by the opposition lawmakers. Why do we have the things that are happening? Why? Just a few days ago, Biden lost his majority, maybe by 10, maybe by 1 or 2 folks. But I will tell you this, going forward, there will be the requisite checks and balances put in place in terms of correcting the Biden administration policies. The CDC does not control the legislature. It is dominated by opposition. And this bothers me because look at the kind of thing that gets gets passed through them. Look at the budget. My brother, this is the last 2 months of the year. We have had no budget performance report. The budget is over $800 million. $800 million plus. There's no budget performance. Let me tell you this, my good brothers and sisters. Budget, there's something that called monitoring and evaluation. People need to monitor the allotment we make in terms of their effectiveness. There is no budget performance report. And now we are hearing that they are planning to pass another budget for next year that is totaling $1 billion. How effective were the appropriations for this year? What did we achieve? We must have budget performance report to tell us those things. Then we can say, okay, we fail in this area, or we pass in this area, and we can improve here, or we can add this to that. Nothing but the legislature is dominated by the opposition. Now let's come to the census. I think to a large extent, numbers, statistical numbers means nothing in Liberia. People don't understand how important the census is. The census, it forms one of the critical bases for government planning, for government policies. That's how the government apportions resources. I can tell you, my brothers and sisters, this census, I will not believe the data that it will give out. Look at the processes. There was no planning. There was no, I mean, the census was just mired in total chaos. How can we believe the data that this chaotic census will give Liberia? Well, yet again, this is a showcase of the incompetence of the government under Georgia. Right now, as we speak, we should be having what you call legislative inquiries. The lawmakers should call people and say, well, what is going on here? There is no inquiry, there's no investigation. I mean, this was a total chaos. People were asked to stay home, a holiday was declared, and nothing happened. George Weah came and sacked, like, you guys, fair enough. But there must be corrective measures in terms of ensuring that these things don't happen again and ensuring that the data that we get from this census will be accurate. Let me tell you this. It is important because we are going into an election year. Population must be accurate because it will affect the voter count. I mean, this is mind-boggling, and I would declare it a total failure. I would not believe the data that will come out of this census. I would not. I mean, how can you trust this data? How can you reasonably trust this data? So, for me, I think this meant people need to be held accountable, and corrective measures need to be put in place so that it won't repeat itself. This spans every aspect of the CDC government. This incompetence, this inability to get lit. I mean, census is 10 years in the making. 10 years. It's not like 1 or 2 months. You had adequate time to plan and adequate time to execute. I mean, nobody can tell me that you can fill in something that is due for 10 years. I mean, this is unbelievable. So it was a total failure, and it is yet another showcase of the incompetence of this government. And that's one more major reason why George Weah does not deserve re-election. I mean, I see people talking about George Weah will win election. Win election on what basis? On what? I mean, win election on what? People win election based on their accomplishment, on their achievement. What would George Weah? I mean, what would he tell Liberians in terms of his re-election pitch? Thank you.
Thank you. Right now we can see the level of, the increase in crime rate in Liberia. How do you intend to fix that?
Okay, let me tell you this. You see, I mean, I think by now you guys will know that I'm a numbers man. I like numbers. It is unfortunate, my sister, the Liberia National Army Police, they have no mechanism in terms of reporting crime statistics. Everywhere we live, where you live, where I live, you can just go to your local cops website. You can see the crime statistics. I have searched. The UN was trying to help them in terms of organizing statistical data related to crime. Up to now, nobody knows what's wrong with that. You see, it just mind-boggling, incompetent. I will tell you this. In terms of crime, luckily for Liberia, there is no widespread crime, but there is a heightened sense of insecurity, and that can affect a lot of stuff. Let me tell you, let me give you one interesting thing. The cops in Liberia, the total force we have, 4,100. Now listen to what is interesting here, 4,100 men. This is from the LMP website. Now, 65% of that number is assigned in Monserrado County. What happened to the rest of Liberia? I mean, 65% of 4,100 men, they are assigned in Monserrado County. It shows a total incompetence in terms of the police director and the way in which we protect and serve our people. I mean, how is this possible? How is this possible? I mean, the cops have no statistical data that the public can access. It's almost unbelievable. And we had UNMIL in Liberia that was there to improve the capacity of the Liberian National Police. Nothing was done under Ellen. George Weah is continuing the incompetence. The police are under-equipped. They are underfunded. Liberians are fortunate that most Liberians are peace-loving people. So there is crime in Liberia, but there is no widespread crime. But there is a heightened sense of insecurity, and it's affecting a lot of people. So what I will do, we will make sure that the cops receive the adequate funding that they need. Let me give you one interesting stats. This year, the EPS, I don't know how large they are, but I would assume they are not that large. The EPS got more money than the Liberia National Police. Do you know that? In the budget. The EPS got more money than the Liberia National Police. So they are underfunded. They have limited capacity, limited resources. How would they protect people? I mean, sometimes I wonder, how do they pull people over in Liberia? Because if the guy don't have address, what's on his driver's license? And how do you put people in jail in Liberia? So it's just a total breakdown. That's why I was telling you, some of these things needs to be totally restructured, totally, literally reinvented. Because if a guy has an address, a social security number, we can pull him over and put him in jail, and we can also contact his next of kin. But if the guy don't have address, the cops have no source of information in terms of who they put in jail. That's why last year I heard that there are some people who go to jail in Liberia for simple crimes, and they be there for like sometimes long time, simply because they don't even know they are there. So we have to properly fund the Liberia National Police. We have to better organize them, give them the capacity and the resources to properly do their job. Right now, Georgia is not doing that. They are underfunded. They are underfunded. So I will change that. I will give them more funding, because nothing works without security. We want investors to come to Liberia. Who wants to come to anywhere where there's a perception of crime? It's high. Nobody will put their money there. So we will make sure that they are properly funded and they have the adequate resources to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Chuchu, want to pose the same question to you. We're talking about crime and how will you solve that?
Crime is a combination of lawlessness and lack of economic opportunities. Most times in Liberia, when we look at crime, we look at the Soko, we say, oh, we're going to fund them. The idea, if somebody does not have the ability to earn an income, they do not have any social program, what do you expect them to do? They were going to rob people. The correlation between crimes and economic opportunity is very clear. Whether you look at any statistics internationally, where there are more economic opportunities, the crime rate will drop. The purpose of me saying to you people is that I'm going to start funding, giving this cash transfer to everybody who under the poverty level. If somebody is making $75, the government is giving you $75 or $50 or $100 every month, you can start a business. It can improve your life. So that time you're going to go get somebody's phone, or you're going to go do, because if you do that, then we'll cut that off from you. So it's going to be the carrot and the stick. We're going to give the people opportunity, economic opportunity first. You can't go and stop crime in Liberia when people don't have jobs, when people don't have social benefits, when people are living on the streets. My brother Ben talked about funding the police. Where are you going to get the money from? Liberia right now is depending on foreign aid to fund the budget. They're $1.6 billion in debt. They can't even finance their budget. Where are you going to get the money from? What country is going to give Liberia any money when they find out that you're paying representative $15,000 a month? Somebody like Yeke Koloba, who barely got a GED, is running around with government car and getting paid $15,000 a month, and these are the people who the ANC companies are supporting. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the government pay and compensation. You do not go into government to get rich. You do not go into government to make a nice living, and that's what Barker and all these people are trying to do. You sit down for 5 years, you can't get employed, you don't have any program, you don't have any business, you sit down and expect George we have to pay your hospital bill. So you want to get into power now so that you can benefit. You've been in power for 12 years, and yet you can't pay your own hospital bill. This is uselessness. So what I'm going to do is we're going to restructure the Liberian government, and we're going to create sound economic policies for the future. Both the future, not the past. There's nothing Barker or any one of these people can do tomorrow that they haven't already done. They are incompetent. They don't understand how to read a balance sheet. And the most sound and sensible economic plan first, and I've been doing this for almost 2 decades. I have worked in the most prestigious financial institution. You cannot spend what you don't have. Liberia is spending over $150 million that they don't have every month. So they are borrowing from the local banks, they're taking your money from the commercial banks, and that's what they're using in the government. So we had to reduce the government expenditure. And the way to do that, since wage, higher level government wage, is the highest amount. You're giving the president $20 million to the Ministry of State for doing what? Tell me, for the last 5 years, that's $100 million. That can electrify the entire country. So I'm going to reduce the president pay to $36,000. I'm going to reduce the minister pay to around $30,000. I'm going to reduce the legislature pay to around $30,000. And if you don't want to work in government, if you're so smart, then go start a business. I'm going to provide loans for Liberian businesses. And I'm going to make every Liberian, every part of the world, give them incentives to come home. We'll give you loans. We'll give you opportunity to come home, go to your counties, and develop your counties. That's the only way forward. There's no money in Liberian government for you to say, oh, I'm going to build roads when you don't have, when you're owing $1.6 billion, you're paying $56 million every year on interest alone. So this is a sensible plan. That's what you need to vote for. You don't need to vote for somebody because they're for your county, or vote for somebody because, you know, they say, oh, I will build roads. Ask them, where are you going to take the money from to build those roads?
Okay.
And if they can tell you they're going to cut pay and compensation, all right, they're bullshitting.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Let's get a question from Tommy, and then we can, look at one or two of the comments. Tommy.
Okay, thank you. So again, my question goes to Honorable Kofa. Honorable Kofa, how do you intend to rebuild the image of Liberia on the international scene? My question comes from the position wherein currently as we speak, Liberia right now does not have a good credibility when it comes to the international level, right? You saw an issue wherein I think almost 9 donors country wrote the Liberian government saying if donor fundings continue to be misused by this current government, they will definitely withdraw their support. And the issue of AU suspending Liberia membership there first, and then I think it was restored and everything. I think it is clear enough to tell you that Liberia does not have a better image right now in terms of the international scene. How do you intend to restore the image of Liberia internationally?
Yeah, you see, that is a very good inquiry. I want to say thank you for that, and it ties to what Mr. Jones was just trying to say. You see, some of the people running the state in Liberia, I don't think they have a clear understanding of how to manage anything. The first thing is, when you are running any entity, government, corporate, or whatever, your payroll should always be less than your income. I will tell you this. Government of Liberia should be primed to a way where the government is small but effective. It ties into the AU. We cannot pay our membership fee at the AU because of financial constraints. We have a bloated payroll to an extent where the World Bank, Samuel Twe is on the record, the World Bank is telling the government of Liberia to reduce the public sector debt. That is, to reduce the payroll. So it shows me that some of these people had never managed anything. Your payroll cannot be more than your income. You always be running in the red. So that's why we get on and look at Liberia get under her obligation to the AU. The AU, as we speak today, was founded in San Nicolas and Nimba County. Liberia is a founding member. So it breaks my heart that the nation has fallen so low that we cannot honor some of our international obligations. Now let's go to the donor funding. That amounts to stealing. Eugene Nabo said, dig hole, cover hole. You don't do that. Whenever you take something that is not for you, especially so without authority, it is called theft. It's stealing. We cannot access donor funds for whatever purposes. The government has to reduce its costs, its expenses. Right now, as we speak, George Weah is out on a almost 8-week trip. It is funded by the government. Unnecessary expenses. That's what you call waste and abuse. They have to be cut down to an extent where we can afford them. I will tell you this, the first 6 months, no government official will travel anywhere. No one will travel anywhere. The world now is a global village. We can attempt meeting by Zoom. All of us here, we are on this thing by Zoom. The thing should be cost saving. It should be cost effective. Now, the last thing is rebuilding Liberian image. Now, if we have Liberians or Liberia constantly on the international stage begging, people that living on a gold mine but begging other people, how do you expect somebody to respect somebody who begs him? The leaders have to be innovative. They have to be visionary. They have to come up with new way of generating income. Let me just tell you something. My brother, Liberia, iron ore. We've been exporting iron ore from Liberia since my mother was a little girl. We are still exporting iron ore today. Can you imagine what if we start some kind of Liberia steel company to be competently managed by the government of Liberia? We can start making steroids in Liberia. We can serve the local market as well as export them. In Liberia, we have availability of land. I mean, like unimaginable land. And we have availability. 65% of the people who call themselves Liberians today, they are under 35 years old. What is stopping the government from starting a Liberia rice company simply for the production of rice? We can feed the local market and start exporting some of that. But you see, when the leaders lack vision, that's why we can go beg people, but going there with a private, how do you ride a private jet to go and beg for money? See, so it's just a total lack of vision until we start thinking. You see, for others to respect you, you first have to respect yourself and conduct yourself in a manner in which that will be demanding of respect. So the only way we can be respected as we would like to be is by respecting ourselves and doing the right thing and managing our country properly. Last thing I want to say, Firestone has been in Liberia for for God knows how long. Rubber tapping every year now and then. What is stopping the Liberian government from opening a small rubber processing company? I will tell you that when people extract raw materials are very cheap. You get nothing from them. You should add value. You should add value to them. Government of Liberia goes to Firestone to beg for advanced taxes. I mean, it makes no sense. It shows the leaders are having no vision. Have no vision. Until we can have visionary leaders, people who believe in Liberia, who believe in positive transformation of Liberia, we're going nowhere. So just to answer what you said, until Liberians in Liberia and the leadership start conducting themselves properly, we will continue to not be respected as we once were. Let me tell you, last thing, Liberia was a leader in Africa. A leader. Help for most of the West African states to gain independence. Liberia was leader. We were in the leading role. We have fallen because of lack of leadership. And we need to elect people with vision so that we can regain the respect that we once had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let me come in with my question, and it's for you and Mr. Jones, but I want you to attempt it first, and Mr. Jones can attempt it second. Now, before the president left the country, there was a communication sent by him to the national legislature, informing the body that he is going to be gone out for a couple of while, and I think it's 7 weeks. Now, the code of conduct that protests the the president traveling clearly state that the total numbers of days spent on any particular trip shall not exceed more than 7 days. Shall not exceed 7 days. And all and the trip shall be sponsored by the Liberian government, for which the president shall receive a pardon of $2,000 daily, along with accommodation. Now, it is clearly stated in this code of conduct that the president should not exceed more than 7 days. The president wrote an official communication to the House of Legislators, who should be informed about this. Now, they read the president's official letter, knew very well it was a complete contradiction to this code of conduct that governed the president traveling, and yet they accepted it. Now, who should we blame when it comes to this, that the president is out for 7 days, which is a complete contradiction, and they are using government money to sponsor his trip for these 7 weeks?
Well, I want to say this, in answering that, I will just re-emphasize what I said from the beginning of this show. To initiate any transformation in Liberia, we have to enforce our laws. That's what I said. That was my first thing I said. Any transformation, we have to enforce our laws. If the president breaks the law, we have a branch of government, the legislature, that should hold him accountable. They can censure him. What I'm trying to say here is that the president should not be the one breaking the law, because he is the chief law enforcement officer in the country. So it is evident that the president is allowed to stay a maximum of 7 days. He's gone for 6 weeks plus. What is the legislature going to do about it? The legislature that is dominated by the opposition, what are they going to do about it? So until we can enforce our laws, nothing will happen, my dear brother. I condemn that trip. I wrote an article on that trip. It is condemnable. The president cannot be out of Liberia for that long a time. It's too much of a time. So we can give our views, we can give our opinions, but at the end of the day, we have elected representatives of the people that are clothed with the authority of addressing this thing. If they do not address it, fair enough, but at the very least, we went on the record to state our view. So just like what you said, until we can enforce our laws to the letter, nothing will change in Liberia. That's the answer to that.
Honorable Jones, can you attend my question, please?
Well, I don't blame the president. To be honest with you, I think you and I talk about this online. Look, and look, Ben is a very brilliant guy, and I think honestly that people like Ben bring a lot to the table. Yeah, some things I disagree with Ben on, and I'm happy that he resigned from CDC, because no sound logical person will look at a man like George Weah, who can barely read at 8th grade level, who's supporting to be president of Liberia. So I'm happy, Ben, that, what you having in Liberia is a combination of bad decision and people who were selfish, were looking at government to be, when this wasn't become president, then I will enjoy. Okay? George Weah cannot run Claratan. George Weah cannot run IE. Okay? Or Geom professional. How will he run the country? Yes, a man that's so irresponsible, okay? And you take him and you make him president of a country, the oldest African country. What nation in Liberia? Ronaldo is one of the most popular soccer players. But I can tell you, if Ronaldo if wanted to run for governor in Portugal, the people would laugh at him. Michael Jordan is the most popular athlete in the world. People wouldn't hire him to be mayor of Chicago. How will you take a man like George Weah that has no intellect, no information, no education, all right, and make him president of a country and then complain? And the same thing we're doing again. All right, Ellen Johnson and all the previous government, Darius Dillon travel on Liberian government. He receives Liberian government compensation every day. I don't hear Henry Costa talking about it. I don't hear Boyka talking about it. So let's stop this hypocrisy. When Ellen Johnson traveled, she took $2,000 or at least close to $2,000 every day to come and see her children's graduation, to come and do her blood pressure. And this goes back into my criticism of the United States ambassador in Liberia. And I agree with Liberians that the Ambassador McCarthy has not been fair and honest. You have a man like Robert Salif, who admitted to criminal crimes in Liberia with no car, stole millions of dollars, and he can come to America. But because it's McGill, you censure McGill. The Liberian people are seeing through that. So I will call on the United States government to be fair and even-handed. If you want to censure McGill. I don't care. Censure George Weah, censure Samuel Tuer. But also go back to the Americans and go back to the Robert Salif that looted our country. Then we'll know the United States government is serious. And maybe your political leaders don't have the guts to talk and stand up for the Liberian people, but I do.
Thank you.
So George Weah should not have been president had it not been for selfish people who are looking out for themselves instead of country.
So are you telling us that Mr. Kofa then put the Liberian people in serious problem by not evaluating president?
Absolutely. And I'm sure Mr. Kofa has recognized that, and he has turned a course. Mr. Kofa cannot tell me today that George Weah is a competent person to be president of Liberia, whether in 2005, whether in 2017. Yes, a man that can barely read at April level. Before I say understand a national budget. So we pass that now. Mr. Kofa has recognized that. He's recognized that.
Thank you. We want to give Mr. Kofa just 1 minute to respond to that before we go to our questions and comments.
Yeah. You see, it's unfortunate, but Mr. Jones is not he doesn't have information to how the CDC was originally organized. So you see, democracy is a game of numbers. When I joined the CDC in 2009, the election of 2005, George Weah needed nothing to be in round 2 in Liberia. He needed nothing. The people at that time, he was an unknown. The people thought, oh, this guy loved the country, he sacrificed a lot. The people thought he could do something. So in 2009, when I joined, it was based on mathematics because my goal was the transformation of Liberia through a populist movement. But we had a core team of 25 men. We were run. We had. I'm telling you something. The CDC is the only party that had an agenda for 2011 and 2017 because I made sure of that. I made sure we had a blueprint to follow. Then what I'm telling you is we had a layout. But what happened when we won the election because of certain decisions and certain people that were brought in that we said no. We said no. These people are not here. You know, this thing is not for personal gain, it's for Liberia. That's why when certain people were brought, we said, no, we don't want part of that because this is not the design. So CDC had a team of professionals. I mean, I'm talking about highly professional people to manage Liberia. But George Weah was the mechanism in terms of how we would get votes. I will tell you this. In 2011, George Weah needed nothing. I mean, to get to round 2. Even the last election that he won, he needed nothing. George Weah didn't even go to debate. So this is a game about numbers. And we say, okay, this may have the number. Our goal is to transform Liberia. So he would be the head while we would be the team working to transform the country. But when we found out they won the election, they started taking other tracks. We said, no, this is not what we came for. So I think we should rather be respected because, like I said, up to last week, somebody called me. They want to offer me jobs. I said, no, it's not about me. It's all about the transformation of Liberia. So if we sign up for something and people are deviating, somebody cannot blame me for somebody deviation. You can blame me for saying, well, you guys all sign up for this. But if somebody is deviating and I say, no, I don't want to go there because this is not what we signed up for, I think I should be held because we stand on principle and we continue to stand on principles.
Mr. Kofa,
go ahead.
Okay. Are you telling the Liberian people on this platform that we should hail you because you brought an incompetent person and just gave them a blueprint on a paper, not evaluating whether they are competent enough to implement those things? Should we hail you for that?
No, I think you should hail me for the fact that when people were deviating I raised objection and said, well, no, this is not what we signed up for. We signed up for XYZ. If you go that way, I will not go with it because that's what I signed up for. We had a team, like I told you, a team of competent professionals to run. Let me tell you something that people are ignoring. You see, for one of the few instances in Africa, an opposition was able to defeat a sitting government. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. And it has to have taken strategy. So, like I said, we had a crack team, but when others were brought in who were aimed at misleading the operation, we said no, and there were arguments raised, and some people thought it was okay to go with them. We said, okay, if you want to go with them, we'll not be part of it because that's not what we signed up for. So people who stand on principles, they must be acknowledged. They said, no, because when they were going here, we said, no, that's not what we signed up for. We signed up for this. If you guys are going there, I'm not going to be part of it. So I think we must be respected for that, for standing up to our core principles.
So,
okay, thank you.
If I listen to you carefully,
Go ahead.
You did not in any way provide tangible reasons why you guys push President Weah, except for he being the most popular president at the time. So are you telling me being popular and having a number is enough for the Liberian presidency? When many of you who think you guys are competent enough for that President Weah could even support with his popularity to become president.
That's why you see, that's why in 2011, we brought in old man Tubman. That's why we brought Tubman in. But what I'm trying to tell you is that at the time, George Weah, no matter what, because the Liberian people didn't know him, he was an unknown. They thought, like, the guy loved the country, he got the country at heart. They thought, because I will tell you this, like I will say this, you should not assume anything about people. Paul Kagame, he has no degree. He just completed high school. But Paul Kagame is one of the exemplary leaders in the world right now. So this is the thing. Even with George Weah numbers, like I said, we had a team of 20 people that were ready and able to manage a country. But when we won the election, I told you I left on the day of inauguration because there were some decisions made, and I said, no, this is not what we decided on. This is not. And I think I should be hailed for being because, like I said, like some other people, some of my friends call me today. They know what is going on is wrong. They can tell me privately, but they are not brave enough. If you go to my page, I critique the government every day. That is a principled stand. That is someone who is willing to even lose friends, to even lose financial remuneration and say, no, I'm standing for the Liberian way, I'm standing for the truth. So I think that person should be respected.
Okay, thank you so much, Ben. We want to run through our comments quickly because time is fast spent.
Can I just respond to Ben on that question before you go through your comments?
If you can respond within 1 minute.
Yeah, I'll do that very quickly.
1 minute.
Look, Ben, it's disingenuous for you to compare a man like Paul Kagame with George Weah. Paul Kagame is an educated man. Paul Kagame ran a revolution. He went to military school in the United States. There is no comparison. He's well spoken, he's well read, he's well informed. Any day of the week, including Sunday, Paul Kagame and George Weah does not hold a candle to him. George Weah was a bad choice. I know the people who are disgruntled about George Weah today, but it was a bad choice you guys made. Most of you were more competent than George Weah. And if George Weah loved his country and you love your country, you should have found the best person in CDC to represent them. You don't come out and put a novice, a complete buffoon, all right, as the head of CDC and expect you to be there to say, this is the puppet we're going to control. So I respect you, Ben, and I will even make you Minister of State if I'm elected. You're a very smart man.
Okay,
you made a mistake.
Right now,
you made a mistake. You made a mistake. Apologize to the Liberian people and let's move on.
Mr. Jones, you see the questions on the screen over there. The question the person asks, the two aspirants, assuming Liberians' attention on you two, who's willing to be vice?
Let me say this, okay? Let me just address this question. I never intended to run for office in Liberia. In fact, I was looking for some people to run. I was one of those. I had a movement to make Liberia better, and I spent the last 10 years trying to make Liberia better, trying to identify good leaders. If Liberian people can get a better leader, I will happily go and try to fix the economy. I can become a central bank governor. I can become a president of a bank. I can become a investment banker in Liberia. I do not desire being in politics. The only reason I'm in politics is because Liberia has serious economic problems. And unfortunately, none of the leaders understand basic economics or finance. None of the leaders have plans. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm not seeking vice presidency or I'm seeking to go in government. I don't care who's president. But I just want someone who understands how to fix the economy, adapt the plan I have put forward, which is cut the government expenditure on government officials, raise the low income people pay to at least $300 a month, give students, poor people, and elderly some cash transfer, right? And fund private businesses. And any one of the leaders who are willing to do that, I will support you. I can make millions of dollars in Liberian economy as a private businessman.
We got you. Thank you, Mr. Ben. You want to respond to that? The question on the screen.
You see, well, I do not desire to be a vice. I desire to be the president because I believe I have what it takes to transform Liberia. See, I do have the vision, and I do have the capacity and ability to hold people accountable. See, one of the major things, like I said on this show earlier on, is the accountability factor. That is the major thing that is missing in Liberia. You have people not being held accountable for wrongdoings, for misappropriation, misapplication, embezzlement, everything. No. Whether you're my friend, whether you're my brother, if you break the law, I will hold you accountable. And once the leader does that, almost everybody falls in place. Now, in Singapore, that was the basis for their transformation, accountability. Thank you.
There's a comment here from Terry. He's saying, with all due respect, Mr. Fan, between me and you, do you think you will get 1% of the votes in 2023? That's a question to you. You will not even get 0.01%, but you are here wasting your time and ours and our time as well. Just put your resume together to apply for a job. The secret behind your reason to contest. He's saying that's the secret because you want a job in 2023 after the elections.
Tell him, I want to say to Mr. Amidiaman, I respect his comment. I welcome it. And, there are many people. I remember I was in, I was down south when Obama started to run. There were a lot of people in Georgia, Florida, especially Black people, who said Obama would never win. History proved them wrong. So I welcome it, and I will take that comment as a source of inspiration. I would like to prove him wrong. So I welcome it. He's entitled to opinion, and I respect his opinion. I want to say thank you for even taking off his busy schedule to listen to me. So I welcome his view.
Yeah. Okay. And this is another comment. Jensen saying, agree, Liberians need new breed of leadership. If any of you were to be president, how will you get your officials? Method, secondly, will audit previous governments and current.
Okay, so I would like to take that question. First of all, Ben, again, you keep making these analogies. Obama did not support bad people in government, even in the Democratic Party. Obama came as a new breed of leader. If you want to become a leader, you have to set example. If you were someone who held people accountable, you should have known that George Weah was not competent to be the head of CDC for over 15 years. You will have worked hard in CDC to bring good people like yourself. CDC is a great party. They have a lot of young people who are totally spirited and they want to see change. The problem with CDC are the leadership. So you can't come and support some leadership that is bad, and then you come back and say, oh yeah, Obama. No, Obama are people who guided a career, they make good decisions. Unlike you, I have not supported any political party. I have not supported any candidate.
Can we go back to the question, Mr. Jones? Can we go back to the question? The person
can
wants to
you
know
please rephrase the question? Can you please read the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, he wants to know if you were to, win the election, will you audit previous government and even the current?
Yes. So let me put it this way, and I'm gonna be non-political here. Okay. Uh, there will be audits, and there should be ongoing audits. But I'm not gonna waste my time. Okay, as president of Liberia in 2023, with a country that can grow less than 3% with $1.6 billion going back to the past. And the reason I say that is if our audit carry on an audit in Liberia, not one government official will survive, including your Ellie Johnson Salif, including all your government officials, because all of them have invested money. Just going back to how much they paid themselves. And no is a criminal act. Okay. So what I'm going to focus on, all right, like I said, I want to move forward, and I'm going to institute the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendation. But the reason I'm going to implement it, I'm not going to do it because I want to go after Prince Johnson or I want to go after any particular person. The reason I'm going to do it is particularly the economic crimes code. We need an economic crimes code because in Liberia, when a government official invests money, what happens? You fire them. There's no restitution. The person's houses or the assets are not freezed, and they move on. So that court is I'm going to set up that special court so that if anybody, including myself, becomes president and see, you can go back to my asset, you can sell it, and you can pay the Liberian people. But really, when it comes to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we are disingenuous. We want to go after Prince Johnson, but we don't want to go after Daniel. We don't want to go after George Bolle. We don't want to go after Ellie Johnson Salif. So my thing here is, if the Liberian people want me to prosecute and execute a recommendation, we're going after everybody, every man, woman, and child, or we're going after nobody, and we'll have reconciliation.
Okay,
That's the choice.
The question was in twofold. Let's get the first part. He's saying, how will you get your officials? He wants to know the
Okay, so
method.
my official, I've already started selecting individuals. I'm going to set up a council for every government appointee where they're going to be made out of Liberian professionals, and I'm going to make recommendations, and they're going to make recommendations. So, for instance, if I want Ben to be my minister of state, I'm going to nominate his name to that special council. They're going to be made of private citizens, teachers, workers, people in Liberia, people in the county, and then they're going to look at him and other people and say, okay, Ben has exhibited good, he will be the most competent person. So I'm not going to appoint anybody. In other words, I'm just going to make recommendations for every minister, and that commission is going to be the one to determine and say, okay, of the 5 people you know that are here for this particular position, we think this man is the most qualified. That's how I'm going to address.
So he was talking about method. So you mean you're going to be vetting people? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I'm not just going to be vetting people. I'm not just going to be vetting people because right now what happens is if you're part of a political party, when your political party wins, then obviously if you're in a political party, you didn't give him money. Like in the case of ANC, you gave $125 a year. Then you go in government. Whether you're competent, you go in government. Well, I'm going to do it. That's why I'm running as an independent. I'm going to set up a commission for public officials. And I'm going to let the Liberian people nominate people for every minister. So, for instance, if you think, for instance, Tommy Johnson would be a good information minister, and Ben thinks Pastor Bishop, they'll nominate a name. And that commission is going to vet them. So I'm going to have a complete transparency because I don't have any party. I just want the best people. So I'm going to be devoid from any partiality. I want the best people to run government because I'm going to raise the standard. Each minister is going to have a very high standard to live up to. In the case of example, development, like I said in my plan earlier, I have a 5-year plan. I don't intend to be in government after 5 years. I want to see every Liberian who are now employed, elderly or poor, get the $50 or $100 a month. Okay. That should be done before any government official is paid. I want to see railroad system throughout the country in 5 years. I want to see 30 corporations in the country in 30 years. So those are very high standards.
This question is also for Ben as well. He wants to know how you're going to get your official, the method you're going to use. Also, he wants to know whether there will be an audit of previous or current government.
Yes, I will start with the last one first. There will be forensic audit from day one after my inauguration, from day one of the CDC administration, as well as the Unity Party administration. You see, audit is not a curse word. Audit only tell us what happened. And if there's anyone who is found to be culpable of doing anything wrong, they will be held accountable. We will seek restitution and forfeiture of assets. So that is not if, ands, or but after the day after I raise my hand in terms of my inauguration, the audit starts. Now, how I will get my officials, when I listen to Mr. Jones, I see, you see, there's one thing we do in terms of trying to cut costs, and there's another thing trying to make additional bureaucracy. I will not start a commission. I will just empower the CSA. In Liberia, we have what they call the Civil Service Agency. I will just empower them. What I would do the day you win the election to the day you are inaugurated, that's 90 days or almost 90-day time span. I will submit names to them and I will empower them to independently vet those people. So I will submit names, and because the CSA will be revamped. That is, every minister in my administration, deputy and assistant, they will be subjected to annual performance review. So I will submit the names to them. They will properly vet them. That is education, experience, and work history, a criminal history, background check, everything. Then they will give me the final information in terms of the track record of those people, and I will have them in place. I don't want to be anybody who would be my friend or relative. No, they should be independently vetted and submitted to me. Then I will make the final decision in terms of appointing them. So that's how I would do it.
Thank you, Ben.
But Ben, let me just follow up. Ben, the CSA officials right now, all church, we are appointees. So are you saying that that's
it will be revamped? I just said that it will be revamped.
Yeah, but when you take inauguration, so you're gonna wait till you to become president, you're gonna have no ministers to run the country when you become president?
No. I will submit the names, I will give them my criteria. So they will submit the name back to me. Okay. Because they would know what to stand for. I would submit the names to them, give them my criteria, and they have to perform based on my criteria.
Okay, let's take this. Let's take the comment, Chuchu. The person said, it is easy to see others' faults. Please, what have you done in Liberia besides criticizing the government and other political parties to help Liberians? The imperative say he has education, job opportunities, healthcare, delivery, security, etc. So he wants to know.
Okay, so I've done all of the above to help the Liberian people and the Liberian community. I've offered solutions. Go to Google Chuchu Alex Jones. You see the number of programs and businesses and for the last 15 years. So I just don't criticize. I've offered solutions. I've offered to help this government. I've offered financial solutions, economic solutions. I've helped programs and then so forth. So good question. But please do your research and you'll find out that I've been involved in Liberia trying to raise, to make our country better for over 15 years.
Okay, Ben, the question for you also.
Yes, I hope I understood it very well because like I always say when I go on these shows, Liberian, some of them.
I think you said it previously.
They misunderstand humanitarian. I mean, like humanitarian action for sound policies. I don't want to do something for people personally. I don't want to do that. I want to put system in place. I want to put frameworks in place that will benefit Liberians of today and Liberians that will come after us. So I don't want. I'm not in the business of doing anything for anybody personally. I'm doing something for the nation and the future of Liberia. So if it's something that somebody said, well, you should give like humanitarian work. No, I'm not in that. And I don't plan to do that.
Okay. Oh, this person gave
and I definitely agree with Ben on this one. That humanitarian assistance should not be a substitute, and that's his word. The policy. You need to elect somebody based on ideas, not because they build a school or hospital. Government is supposed to be building school or hospital if you elect the right person. That's corruption in the first place.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, that's a suggestion for you, Ben. Dr. Jeremiah Zer Wapo, my knee Benjamin. That's a suggestion for you. What do you say?
Well, tell him I am flattered.
Please do.
You know, but you see, I mean, just like Mr. Jones, I don't want to co-join with anybody who is on the scene right now. No, I want Liberians to be able to clearly differentiate me from the pack we have. Because I will tell you this, most of the people who are advocating right now, it is not about Liberia, and that's what bothers me. So I don't want to join anybody. I will take my message to Liberians. If they believe in me, they will follow me. If they do not believe in me, they have other options. But you know, I want to say thank you. I do appreciate that, but I don't intend on joining anybody or any party.
And she's also running campaign for her stand-up bearer here. She said she's trying to recruit Jesse to join her political party. But anyway, lastly, before you gave your closing comments, Chuchu had he made a statement on his in one of his posting on Facebook, and he said, choose the future, not the past, something like that. And I wanted to know, you know, that he needed to throw a little light on the why should you choose the future? You
Yeah,
are talking about past,
so like here, if you look at,
it's the future.
well, I'm the future. Okay,
Okay.
for Liberia, I represent the future at least. Okay, I never been in politics. I never held government position. I've worked hard on my own to acquire the best education, to build a business, to work in internationally. That's what Liberia should be looking for. I never play soccer. I'm not a celebrity, and I don't think Liberia needs a celebrity president. They need a brilliant president, someone who understands how to interact with international global financial community, someone who needs to bring loans and programs to stimulate our economy, grow the economy, to provide programs to reduce our debt. That's the future of Liberia. If you're looking for somebody, a tribal chief, I'm not that person. If you're looking for a celebrity, I'm not that person. I didn't play soccer. My mom didn't invest in education. I had to sell, do small business to send me to school to play soccer. She sent me to school so I can be an intelligent person, so that I can have ideas, I can write papers, I can be hired if some of the finest international corporations in the world, and people can respect me. That's the future of Liberia. That's what our young people in universities should be aspiring to. They shouldn't be looking at people who have been from 1970, who have contributed nothing in the international community. They haven't even written a complete paper to tell you how to solve healthcare or how to solve the economy, how to reduce debt. So this election, that's what it's about. You can
Okay.
go to the past that you've always had, and that led you to be the seventh poorest country in the world. That today people living on less than $2 a day. That nobody respects us. Or you can go and find people like myself who have ambition, who will not settle for the past, who will not join a political party with somebody who come and purchase, and you got to follow him. So I think I'm not following anybody. I'm my own leader. I have a thought of my own, and I'm going to present them my message to Liberian people. I'm going to travel the country, and I'm going to give you the message. I'm not going to give you back arrest because what? I'm going to give you $50 to $100 if I win the election every month, so you can start a business and you can be your own person. So you can take that, or you can take the back arrest, and the president forget about you for the next 6 years. That's the future. You choose.
Okay. Thank you. Ben,
Yeah.
the same thing. How will you consider Cummings, Boyka, or Gonglo, and those old politicians? How will you consider them? Are they the future of Liberia, or are they the past?
Well, I think it ties into what. Yes, I think it ties into what we just discussed right now. You see, the
Yeah.
thing is, for me, I want the race of next year to be heavily, contested. What do I mean by that? I want more competent Liberians to vie for the presidency because I want the race reality of somebody ideas. I don't want it to be, oh, I'm George Weah, or I'm Joe Boyka, or I work at Coca-Cola. I don't want it to be that. I want that race to be won based on the superiority of ideas and the practicality of the idea. So I would like to use this stage to encourage other Liberians, who want to contest, but they're kind of shy or they keep holding back. We want to invite every Liberian. We all can make a difference. Join this race so that the debate can be about ideas. Look at what we are talking about right now. Joe, we are making music. I'm a celebrity. This, the day. No. We have to be talking about the issues confronting our people as we speak right now. Poverty is rising in Liberia. Poverty. What are we going to do in terms of tackling poverty? Those are the kind of thing I want people vying for the highest office to be discussing. So I'm very happy. I want to open the door, like everybody comes in, and let's discuss ideas so that the individual with the best idea can win this race. So I invite everybody.
Thank you. We are rounding up. Tommy, is there anything else you want to say before we
Yeah,
close?
I have a few concerns. My first concern have to do with this. I've heard too many founding members discuss the CDC. I mean, founding member of the CDC has discussed, and it said it broke away because President we went contrary to the CDC framework. Now, my first concern is this: when the framework was established, were there no portion that called for the removal of the standard bearer based on contradiction to the framework? If yes, those of you funding member, why didn't you stay in the CDC to call for the removal of President Weah instead of just leaving the party as it is? That's one. Two. Now, I read the Constitution that spoke about the impeachment of a president. Those things that should lead the president to impeachment through the legislature. And I found out that President Weah have violated almost all of them. Almost all that the Constitution prohibits the president from doing. Therefore, if he or she does this, should be impeached. I found out that President we have violated almost all of them, but not a single lawmaker have called for the impeachment of President Weah. Now, do you even think, based on the violation of our Constitution and therefore the rights to presidential impeachment, President Weah should even be allowed by the national legislature to go to the 2023 elections?
Is that a question for me?
Okay, Mr. Jones, you
Okay,
can
yeah.
you can do
Okay, so again, I think I clearly stated that the only reason a man like George Weah has ever gone to become a senator or Liberia of one of the oldest, greatest country in the world is because of selfishness and foolishness. Okay, this man is not competent for anything, and the only reason why he's not impeached because we have a corrupt political party system in Liberia, like you clearly said from the initial part of the show, where the legislature are controlled by the opposition. That boycott controls the legislature practically. Communists, okay? And these are people who do not care for Liberia. These are people who are just interested in themselves. They just want to be president. Because if they had leadership, they will instruct their representatives, the senators, to put in place an impeachment proceeding 5 years ago or 3 years ago. So how can a man like Walker or Cummings tells you he will provide leadership, he will hold people accountable when he can't? People in his party who run under his party banner can't even bring the president to hold the president accountable. They are collecting $30,000. So we need real leadership in Liberia, and I'm telling Liberian people, I will provide that leadership. I've already started providing that leadership. I've held everyone accountable, whether it was Ellie Johnson Sirleaf, it was Cummings, it was Boycott, it was even my good friend here, Ben. I will hold you accountable because I love Liberia as much as I love Ben and I love everyone else. I love Liberia more. And so you need to, it's not something where when a person get there, then you will see. You see people character. What did Alex Jones stood up for? If you go back and see where the positions I have taken, there shouldn't be any question. I should win this election in the first round. Okay? Because I don't side with any one of the political parties. They are the reason why Liberia is like this today. The Unity Party. Like I said, you take an old tribal chief like Walker, and you want to make him president. I will be almost 82 years old when he president. A man who 5 years can't even show you where his life wife is. He got to be begging the president for money. And that's why the young people, some of the young people who are so deceived, are falling behind. When you got young, competent people who have vision to move your life forward. And I would say this last thing. I will be in Liberia after the holidays. And I will contest this election vigorously. I'm not apologizing to any man, woman, or child. I will speak the truth. You like me, if you like me or not, that's your problem. Vote for me or not. But I will give you an alternative. So you cannot say,
Thank you.
come 2023, just one second. Come 2023, oh, we didn't have any choice that we voted for Boyka or because we didn't have, I will be there. So you will not have that excuse again. And then when the election is over, you will have to live with your consequences. And please don't be calling anybody in America to send you small thing after you voted for a man or someone in government who cannot provide job for you or opportunity for you.
Thank you,
And
Jones.
if you vote for me, Liberia will be a great place. I promise you that.
Thank
I'll
you,
call you,
Mr.
Mr. Jim. Me, I'll call you for small things.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
No, you're calling for a small thing. Go to Boyka.
Ben, you want to respond? We are
Yeah,
close.
yeah, I want to respond. Well,
Yeah,
you
so
see,
you tell me that with your closing statement.
the last thing I want to say to that, I think I heard about the CDC and the standard bearership and stuff like that. I want to say this. In 2011, I joined the CDC in 2009. In 2011, the records are there. I registered my intent to contest the standard bearership of the CDC. And there were a lot of, the guy want to bring confusion. I said, no. This is a democratic institution. We have primary. If Joria is popular, Joria will win. Don't be scared. You see, so when we join this organization, especially with the ambition that we have, we register them. We go on the record. So I registered my intention to contest the standard bearership back then, even when Winston thought were coming in. So it's not that we were just sitting down and just saying, oh, kumbaya. No. We were pushing back against something, and we were setting structure up. Like I said, we did have a team. But unfortunately, it got derailed. Now to the last part of that a question you asked. George Weah now can be impeached. But just like Mr. Jones said, the legislature is corrupt and incompetent. The opposition dominate the legislature, but they can do nothing. I mean, George Weah sent any appointee over there, they get passed. Any budget, 5G speed gets passed. So there's very little we can do but advocate and better inform Liberians that no, you have alternatives, you have available options. And I can tell you one thing: Waka wins election in Liberia, nothing will change. Cummings win election in Liberia, nothing will change. George Weah win election in Liberia, will get more of the same. But it is time for transformation. I mean, I look at Liberia sometimes and I will tell you, my brother and sister, I want to shed tears. There's so much potential in that country, so much potential. But it takes vision and it takes an effective leader. That's the only way things will change. I'm telling you. I mean, look at what is happening now. The president is out for 7 weeks. We heard nothing from the legislature, nothing, no protest. Those are the elected representatives of the people. We have UP lawmakers, we have CPP lawmakers, we have ANC lawmakers. Can they even register a protest to say, no, this is too long? Now, somebody just said about the code of conduct, right? Eugene Nambwe went on Spoon TV and said the first leg of the trip from Liberia to Morocco was sponsored by the Moroccan government, but the government of Liberia, they have a rule in terms of how much gift we can accept. I mean, they're paying for a whole flight. Nobody even knows the size of the delegation, but nobody's saying anything. The size of the delegation, because it would say a lot in terms of the per diem these people are receiving. The finance minister came on Spoon TV. He said he didn't know how much he signed for. He didn't know. I mean, how do you sign a blank check? But you see, it takes a serious legislator to hold these people accountable. So, Liberians, it is time for a new direction. It is time for change. And I can guarantee you, I mean business. Thank you.
Mr. Jones, your closing comments?
Well, again, thank you, and I want to thank the 2A Radio TV. You're doing the right thing. You are hosting debates that really speaks to the heart of Liberia. Unlike the corrupt media, that they are political, they want one person to win. They follow the political parties essentially. Keep doing what you're doing. The Liberian people are listening, and they will reward you tomorrow when we have a better Liberia. The idea of election, everyone should have a voice. Everyone should come with a platform. And the person who has the best program or the best policy or manifesto should win. Only like broad people think that you should go beyond somebody because they're popular or go beyond somebody because they're from your county or your tribe. Where have they done for your county or your tribe? Go into some of these counties. They even got freaking public toilet. Okay? The way Liberia will go forward is you have to bring new people to the table. People, like I said, vote the future, not the past. And I will reiterate before I close, I'm going to cut the government pay and compensation, every government officials to under $3,000. I'm going to establish 30 Liberian corporations. I'm not going to sit down and wait for foreign investors. I work with these people, and they go to these African countries to exploit. The Coca-Cola, the Exxon Mobil, they go to Nigeria, go to all the places they've gone. They pollute the place, and they take the resources. So we are going to be our own foreign investors. We're going to open these corporations. We're going to find the best Liberians. We're going to employ Liberians into every county. We're going to make them public corporations where everyone can buy shares in it, and all our retirement, wherever will be in it. We are going to have a healthcare and education program that makes sense. We're going to save between 100 and $200 million by cutting the pay and compensation. That's a sensible plan. If you don't buy that, then I don't know what else you need to listen to. And I can tell you, we're looking pretty good in this race. My people are working on the ground. And I believe that we'll win this thing in the first round, clearly, because there's no competition at this point. And I challenge all the other political leaders, come, let's have a debate. Don't run away. Come, let's talk about healthcare. Let's talk about the economy. Let's talk about how to grow the economy, the Conglos, the commies. But they will not do it just because they don't have ideas. They want to use tribe, and they want to use all the corrupt political connection and reward people who don't qualify in their government. And we're not going to do that, and we're going to fight them, and we're going to win. Thank you very much. Ben, you're working my government. I forgive you, and I can tell you you're a sound man, because wise man changes. So I can tell you that you're working my government, and we'll work together to make Liberia better.
Thank you. Tommy, close.
Well, let me use this time to once again say thank you to the 2A Radio family, and thanks to the both presidential aspirant. Again, in conclusion, I want to caution that all of you, especially those of you contesting for the presidency, Liberia doesn't really have a history of a one-term president. Immediately you make he or she president, there's a possibility the next election they might play with it in order to remain. I hope you guys can consider a collaboration instead of I don't want to be this, I don't want to be that, I don't want to join anybody. I yet to see a one man army that can remove President Wiakam's 2023. I hope you guys can consider a collaboration if only you guys mean well for Liberia. If you cannot open your if you cannot open your arms to accept others, how then can we even trust you with the presidency? How are you going to run the presidency? I think it's about time all of you starts to negotiate with one another, sit on a round table discussion, and the person with the best idea can definitely spearhead the group while the rest of the people follow. But again, I yet to see a one person winning the presidency comes 2023. Thank you.
We want to say thank you to our honorables in a studio tonight. Honorable Ben Kofa Fine and Honorable Chuchu Alex Jones. We want to say thank you for gracing the platform. We want to also say thank you to my co-host, and we want to say thank you to all our viewers out there, those of you that made your contribution through the comments and questions. We want to say thank you, and we are hoping and praying that everything we desire for Liberia will come to pass. Liberia deserve better. They deserve a new and a better Liberia that everyone can embrace and look forward to a better future, and they can fulfill their destiny. So we want to say thank you. We will be back here again on the 2A Radio Roundtable for another interesting discussion. We want to say have a pleasant rest of your week, and we look forward to another interactive discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank
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 you.
you. God
Thank you.
bless.